I will call to order the meeting for Wednesday, January 8th. May I please have the roll call?
Mayor Allen.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Clayton.
Present.
Commissioner Kaler.
Present.
Commissioner Crowley.
Present.
Commissioner Skidmore.
Present.
We are all here, so I would like to welcome everyone here in the audience as well as anyone watching or listening. We will begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation, it looks like by Commissioner Skidmore.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we give you thanks for this gathering, for all those here, for all the families represented, and the work that we do. We just ask you to bless our time. And Lord, our minds quickly go to California with the people suffering from the wildfires there. Lord, we just ask for you to give them some relief tonight. Perhaps the wildfires can diminish, and we ask for protection for the firefighters as they do their job, and that the people be evacuated appropriately. And now with this agenda, Lord, we look over today, we just ask for your direction and guidance. We yield to you completely as we seek your counsel and guidance. Commit this time to you in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Skidmore. Do we have anyone registered for public comments?
We have none registered.
We will skip appointments, proclamations, recognitions, nominations, and public hearings as we have none. We'll move on to item 8, the consent agenda.
I'm sorry, we will likely need a 10-minute executive session for attorney-client privilege, and the city attorney apologizes, but he is running slightly behind.
At the end of the...
Yes, ma'am, that's
Okay.
unanticipated.
Okay. So with the revised agenda. We have a motion.
So moved.
I'll
We-
second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Passes. We'll move on to item 9, the declaration. At this time, I'd like to give commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. Seeing none, we will skip item 10, which is unfinished business. As there is none, we'll move on to item 11, new business, item A.
Report on vacant residential land in the city of Ottawa.
Director Neese will provide an overview of vacant residential parcels and benefits of infill development for the community. Director Neese.
Good evening, Commissioners. Happy New Year. Have a report before you, and then we'll just do a real quick presentation. I'll try to do a real quick presentation. This is just to receive and file. Really want to highlight from the report, we've got 51 acres across the city. It's 67 parcels that are recorded with the county as being vacant, and that we would identify in our office as likely developable. And then 9.6 acres across 43 parcels and that are R2, and 10.38 acres across 3 parcels that are R3. There are some important disclaimers on this, and this is just publicly available information. These are not parcels that are for sale. These are not parcels that we're saying should be for sale or anything like that. We're just noticing that on publicly available information, there are vacant parcels in our community, and that really 51 acres, mostly on public streets. That's a substantial number. We do have this list of properties available from our office. Inclusion on the list does not mean that the property owner is interested in selling the property. And if a property owner, looks at the maps that we've put together here, or comes in and looks at our list and says, "Hey, my property isn't vacant," that is a conversation that they need to have with the county. What you'll see, or what I think you'll see on the maps, is that these are parcels throughout the community. While there are some, there are maybe some blocks that have more than others, it's not all in one place. There's lots of opportunity across the community for infill development. And that's really what this is about, is, hey, publicly available information. There are lots that may be available for infill development. And why is that important? typically infill development is going to have a reduced infrastructure cost to the developer, and then for the community at large, right? There's not a cost to the city to develop because the development, the public infrastructure is already in. Increased walkability, and that is both in terms of likely already on our sidewalk grid or has a lower cost to improve our sidewalk grid. It's also that if you're talking about an infill parcel in our community, that is going to be a closer walk to most of our amenities than a greenfield site. And so if we can have more folks in homes that are close to the schools, close to downtown, close to the amenities in our community, those are the kinds of things that people typically want to walk to. And then I don't know what what anybody's experience has been, but when we think about large college campuses in the state, like K-State or KU, those are huge campuses, right? But people will walk several miles, and it's a great walk because you're seeing your friends, your classmates. It's there's a lot of density of activity, and so walkability is. Hopefully, I'm able to square the circle. Walkability is not only about having the sidewalks; it's also about having points of interest and having that social connection. And infill development lends itself to that. And then any time that we can put a new home in an existing neighborhood is going to help to retain or improve the quality of that neighborhood. There's no real cost. There's no legal considerations on this, and it's just for your receipt and filing. But and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about this.
Questions?
How many of these lots are city-owned? Do we have a list of that? Or do we have any city-owned lots?
There would be a few. I know that one that we discovered after somebody we had provided at request this list to a developer, and we got a letter back asking for sale of a city park. So, which comes back to if you have a property on the list that is not vacant, please contact the county, and that's what we've done on that parcel. So.
On the abbreviations, I want to make sure that MUCR, that is
mixed use.
Okay, mixed use. And then the MHS is mixed housing.
That would be mobile home.
What if you're looking at these maps that are in the agenda,
Yeah.
tell me, what would other be? I mean, I see that there's some spots in there. I mean, we've got, mixed use, and we've got mobile home, we've got R1, 2, and 3. What's other?
I appreciate that question, Commissioner. I will assume that is a combination of other zoning classifications.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure why they would be highlighted. They are not part of the parcels that we're talking about, though, because the parcels that we're talking about are the R1, R2, and R3. And so they are the industrial. Well, if I look, is this the pointer? No. If I look at here, I know this is industrial that we believe partially could be residential. But when we're talking about that vacant lot count and the acreage, we're only talking about the R1, the R2, and the R3. So the golden parcels aren't part of that, should not be part of that tally.
And this didn't take into account anything with like floodplain or anything like that on any of the.
To some degree, I should give credit where credit is due. Zach Clayton Zach Clayton, excuse me.
Good job, Zach.
That would be you, Commissioner.
I'll take the credit.
Zach Martin, our city planner, put this together, and I really appreciate the work that he's done on this. He made an effort to identify it as developable or not developable, and so if he at a first glance said, "Oh, there's so much floodplain there, that's not developable," so there it is. We're not saying that all 51 acres are developable tomorrow.
And do you have you may not, as it's not truly a part of this, have a rough idea in the last year, 2 years, how many of these kind of infill lots we've filled? You know, if we're looking at 67 and 43 in R1 and R2, what we have filled in kind of up to this point in the past 2 years, 5 years, just kind of recent history?
I believe we've been doing something like 25 a year.
Okay. I thought that was
25 to 50. I have considered this to be like, if we really went at it, as we have in some years, that this is 4 to 5 years. So it's probably closer to 50.
okay. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
I just think this is a great exercise. It's good to see this information. Thank you for providing it. I guess I'd like to know what our plans are to do with it now. I would love for these people to recognize, oh, I do have a vacant lot here that I own, and I'd like to sell it. And somehow by city, not pressure, city suggestion to look at, they may want to be selling some of these properties, or somehow get the seller and the buyer connected. Do you have any kind of a plan for that?
Well, and this presentation is part of that, is to make sure that the development community is aware of these vacant parcels, and to really let them take the lead in reaching out to the owners.
So all you builders out there, pay attention to what we got here. Look at this map. It's important. We love to get some infill in here, so I agree. That's a great thing.
And it may be on the county side with the parcel search. Do you know, is there a way to search and find vacant properties? Could someone, with the public login on the GIS website kind of?
I believe so,
use
yes.
this? Okay.
That is my understanding. Zach
Okay.
Martin said this is publicly available information. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions for Director Neese? Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move on to item 11B.
Request to authorize the purchase of an Altec DH50 digger Derrick pole setting truck for the Electric Utilities Electric Distribution Division.
This is a request for approval to purchase one Altec DH50 digger Derrick truck at approximate cost of $359,098. And we have Utilities Assistant Director Olson.
Mayor, Commissioners, and fellow citizens of Ottawa. What we actually have here is the opportunity to order, and I'll get a little more into detail on that, but this is a opportunity to order so we ultimately can purchase a truck when it becomes available. Our recommendation, after looking at two opportunities or two quotes from vendors, is to order the Altec truck, and I'll get a little more further into detail on that. We requested quotes from two vendors. One is Altec, one is Derrick. The city of Ottawa owns vehicle or trucks from both suppliers, and so those are ones that we would normally have used or would possibly look at using in the future. The issue is that when talking to them, those trucks are usually 2 to 4 years out of delivery. So what we have to do is be able to get ourselves in a position to get a truck at an opportune time for us to put that into our fleet to replace an older vehicle. And with that, there's an opportunity for us to work with finance on how to get the money available at the time when that truck becomes available. We received quotes on the late 2024, one from Derrick, approximately $460,000, and one from Altec for a price of $359,000. Line distribution crew looked at demos from both vendors, looked at what we had and what was opportunity on both those vehicles and what we might order when we were to purchase a vehicle. So they were able to look at what was available. And so we looked at, reviewed it, and the recommendation of our distribution crew and internally would be to purchase the Altec whenever it becomes available. It is in our budget for this year. next year and the following year to put money aside out of the budget to ultimately have the availability. That was something because we've seen with other equipment, transformers, meters, and all those things, that it could go from one year to another year in ordering it. By the time it comes in, it comes out of a different, might either be encumbered or we purchase that down the road in the future years. We're ordering early, but working with finance to make sure that we have the finances and it's coming out of the appropriate year. The total purchase cost is $359,098, and it'd be come from electric distribution, and it would be not today paying for it, but it'd be paid in the future. But working with finance, within the budget that you all approved, we're taking out a third, and a third over 3 different years, and still will be able to meet the time frame for the delivery after that point. So it should come delivered, and the money would already be available for us to pay for that, so it would not be a future cost to the citizens. So our recommendation is to move ahead with the ordering of the Altec truck, and then work with the vendor, and when it comes in, be able to pay for it. Question comes in, well, what if it shows up early? Because the way that the document's written, no later than, we think if we were to this year in 25 and next year in 26, we should have enough and then be able to work within the existing budget in 27. If it comes in early, we should be able to manage the additional cost, or if it comes in after that 3-year point, we'll have plenty enough for that and any additional stickering and other things we might need to put on that truck to make it serviceable going forward. And with that, I will stand for any questions or any comments. And if you have any questions for our distribution crew, we have the superintendent and the assistant available also.
Director Olson, can you tell us what this truck does?
This truck does, it's actually a digger derrick. It's a truck, if you see some that actually has a screw type of device on the front, it actually digs a hole where to put poles into the ground. We use that whenever there's not a whole lot of underground piping or other things in the way. It makes it quick and easy. We can dig a hole, drop or put a new pole in there. The other option is a Vacant truck if we have other pipes or other things in the ground around that we want to try to prevent damaging. We can use that technology with our water wastewater crew equipment.
And it says this one will be for operational redundancy, so you have one other truck like this?
We have a current truck. It's been around a number of years, and it's at that point where we're looking at down the road. It may become more of a ongoing maintenance issue, and so we're looking at, with the situation we're dealing with the electrical industry, we're trying to look forward. And with that, we'll be able to maintain it. If the old truck is not serviceable or we have some issues with it, then we can do other methods to pass that along to someone else that wants to take over that, namely Purple Wave or some of those type of online type of sales. But as we go forward and we're doing more and more pole replacements, having the availability of multiple pieces of equipment up to a point would make sense for us to have that capability if needed. That way we can take a piece of equipment out of service or have it in for maintenance and still be able to continue doing our work.
Any concerns if it takes the 40 to 45 months to get the new one?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Like I said, that's either why we're looking at and where we're at and where we may be at that point. And that right there are options we have where we can rent, but it's kind of hard to get that these days. One of the things that is critical for us is having that piece of equipment available. We do have a good relationship with both vendors. Altec has a capability that we have seen recently that they can be here within the next day. So that's good to maintain our equipment and keep it going forward to maintain service to our customers if we need to.
Thank you.
Jeff, is that price locked in for a certain length of time?
That'll be determined, the contractual thing. Once we get to that point, I don't think that the pricing has changed, but it'd be one of those things that is approximately what we're looking at. If there's an issue that's so far out of bounds on that, then we will come back to you before we actually see that. But I don't believe that's an issue.
Dr. Olson, do you have a kind of a rough idea on how long one of these operates in the field, what its lifespan kind of would be?
It could be anywhere from 10 to 15 years. Depends on how much we use it for. We typically are replacing poles at anywhere from 25 to 50 a year. Storm events and those type of things can actually put a little more wear on the piece of equipment. They could easily run 10 to 15 years, and we have to evaluate where we're at on the hours and expected usage in the future, especially in this case, to try to look forward and try to plan that next replacement or a future purchase to match what we anticipate our tempo to be going forward.
And as you had mentioned that the current one is kind of aging, have we run into any issues in the past where
not severe?
it's
I mean,
down
just
and-
minor things. Just and that, like I said, we have a good relationship with the company. We have a good service tech that is nearby. That if need be, they can usually be here with the company's approval the next day. So, Altec is probably one of the main players within the electric utility industry for trucks, and so it has a very comprehensive. A lot of other people use the similar equipment that we'd be getting. So.
Thank you.
And are there any other uses this truck does besides?
Well, it is a bucket truck. It has
Also,
capability to do a
okay.
lot of things. We do have poles over in our yard. You can lift them up, put them on a trailer. You can do other things out in the field that we may need. There's a whole bunch of equipment that we use. This one's kind of a specialized piece. It's not a general run-of-the-mill bucket truck that we use, but it has capabilities that could be useful for the crews out in the field. So the crews are very knowledgeable what they need and what they may need at the time while they're working, and they may be able to grab that truck and use it for a particular purpose to get out in the field.
Have any other questions? How would we like to proceed?
I know these are always tough pills to swallow just when people look at the overall number. You know, $359,000 seems like a lot for a truck, but if you saw the truck, you'd understand the cost. But we had a significant weather event just 2 Julys ago, where I'm sure you guys probably could have used one of these. And then we've had a lot of ice and snow, if anybody's noticed in the last couple of days, that possibly could have damaged some poles where this truck could be used again. And so that pill becomes easier to swallow at that point when you can have multiple crews out doing multiple things at one time. And when your electricity's out, especially how it has been, if it is in the cold, you certainly want every crew out there doing everything they can in order to get your heat back on. So with that being said, I'd make the motion that we approve item 11B on our agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Was there any discussion to finance this instead of paying for cash?
Well, like I said, this right here would be, if we ordered it, it's typically expected to be within 40 to 45 months. And with that, we would be paying cash at the time it's delivered.
Because of our reserves.
Because,
Which-
what we're planning on doing is, like I said, it's a 40 to 45 month tentative or sooner, is that we're going to split that up over 3 budget years. And that is already part of this year, the 2025 budget. And 26 will be as part of that in the 27. So we are saving up money, so it'll be a cash purchase when it shows up.
I hear that's a better way to buy something cash rather than finance. I hear that anyway. Okay, we'll go with that.
That's always good if you have the cash, but sometimes if you don't, then you have to look at options.
That's true.
Any other discussion? We have a roll call vote, please.
How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Clayton?
Yes.
And Mayor Allen?
Yes. Motion carries. We will move on to item 11C.
2025 cereal malt beverage application for the Ottawa Golf Course.
Review of an application for a 2025 cereal malt beverage license for the Ottawa Golf Course. And we have our city clerk read.
Hi, good afternoon. As you stated, we are here to review the 2025 cereal malt beverage application for the Ottawa Golf Course. As you recall, we just talked about CMB a couple of weeks ago. CMB is defined as KSA 41-2701 and amendments, encompassing beer containing not more than 6% alcohol. The Ottawa Golf Course has applied for an on-premise license. The application was reviewed and approved by the police department and the city attorney. A KBI investigation check was performed, and we're at the last step where the city commission reviews and issues final approval. And the financial considerations in accordance with Municipal Code Section 4-310 and established by Ordinance 4016-19. The total license fee is $225 per calendar year, which includes a $25 stamp fee that'll go to the state of Kansas. And with that, we would recommend that you approve the 2025 cereal malt beverage license for the City Ottawa Golf Course, or refer this to a future meeting for deliberation. And I'd stand for any questions.
Do we have any questions for City Clerk Reed?
Just to clarify on this, we're essentially doing this since it's changed ownership. It's now in our hands. The license needs to be in the city instead of the previous holder of that license.
Yes, we would need to apply. The previous license has expired, and so or has terminated with the contract, and so this would be the license for the City of Ottawa.
Any other questions?
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner?
I move that we approve the 2025 cereal malt beverage license for the Ottawa Golf Course.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, may I have a roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Mayor Pro Tem Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
And Mayor Allen?
Yes, motion carries. We will move on to item 12, comments by our city manager.
Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, want to first start off with an update on our City Commission Chambers Modernization and Technology Upgrade. Just want to make you aware that the contractor, architect, and casework company are actively involved. Just wanted to pass along that due to Midwest Cabinet shutting down, who were the primary source sub on the job, it's caused a slight delay as we're in the process of a new sub for that casement work being undertaken. And just reminding everyone that we didn't have an official start date, but we had kind of a tentative one. And once we do have something smoothed out, we'll be reporting back with that window for when we'll be transitioning to the study chambers, or the former study chambers next door, for our meetings going into the future. And our ultimate goal is, obviously, while this project's underway, is to minimize the disruption of the space to as briefly a period as possible. And want to thank our Director of Information Management and Technology, Paul Summer, who's leading this project and promptly brought this to our attention when it became known. So if you have any questions about this between now and when we get a timeline out to you, feel free to reach out to either myself or Paul, and we'll be happy to respond to the body. I want to just give you a couple of images from the past weekend. It's showing our 10 to 12 inch snow that we had, kind of depending upon where you were at. And then kind of the next day. But also want to point out that when we ask folks to stay in, it's not only for their own safety, but also for the safety of our crews, as there was a longtime Jackson County employee who was only a few weeks from retirement, was hit and killed after 40 years of service, Mr. Everett Carter, who was 61 at the time. So obviously our thoughts go to his family for that. But we do want to thank everyone, especially Public Works and our emergency services professionals, but also the public, for helping them make the job easier when they're not having to navigate around and folks are staying in. As you know, we're in extreme cold conditions, so it's important that as these weather systems move through, there's another one that looks like it's going to pass just south of us now, looking like maybe the Wichita area is going to get 1 to 3 inches in another storm passing through. So if that were to have tracked a little further north, we just want to remind folks to follow the weather information at ottawaks.gov/snow, and also to utilize our Everbridge system. And that's something that's useful and that we can send out messages on, including if you're a business owner or a resident in one of our downtown buildings. It's good for us to also utilize that tool to let you know that we're going to be cleaning and clearing. And so if you could remove your vehicles to a designated parking area that our utilities teams had worked to clear for that, to smooth that transition and give them clear space to store their vehicles. That's a tool that we can utilize for that, and that can be accessed through ottawaks.gov/city-alerts. And then, as you know, with the bitter cold, the cold weather emergency shelter will be open this evening with meals from 5 to 7, and they ask for folks to check in ahead of time if they can. And then there's one of our community partners that I know everyone's familiar with and we rely on, so we appreciate Mr. Stanislaw for the work and dedication that he does in helping to staff that. But that's showing the shelter and some of the amenities there, and the meals and warming material that's been provided by our community. So we thank everyone for that. The next thing is kind of our agenda, and then I'd like to take a moment to share some thoughts over kind of what's occurred since we had our last meeting in December. But some tentative agenda items that we have coming up. We've got a lot of proclamations. We have religious freedom. We have Dr. King, and we also have recognition of Levi Harn and DJ Welsh for their certified public management completion, and also the recipients for our Emerging Leader Academy. And we will also have the discussion of commission board assignments for 2025 and consideration of a service agreement with Benish for the airport taxiway reconstruction project administration within that FAA framework. And with that, I'd like to read a message that was interdepartmental communication back on December 20th, but I think it's really telling of the service and dedication of our all of our public servants, but in this particular case, the dedication of our law enforcement community, and specifically our community police unit. And so this will be a quote, and then I'll share some of my thoughts on the entire team that is here serving you and me and our wonderful community. Yesterday, our department received information that a local homeless man had not been seen in several weeks. This man had been a consumer of community resources for years. He had received food and clothing from Hope House as well as Blessing Box. Our community policing team had been working with him in many ways. They helped him get resources and community services during severe weather and checked on him frequently. The team had a good relationship with the man and were able to solve problems without judgment or engagement of the engagement of the criminal justice system. This is a core goal of our team. While this man had found himself in minor trouble in the past, he was far from a menace to this community. His trouble probably stemmed from untreated mental illness. Thankfully, citizens noticed his absence and notified us. They were worried about him. After searching for the man for several hours, we found the man deceased. He was alone in a makeshift tent under a bridge and had been there for some time. And as you might imagine, his body was not in good condition and could not immediately be identified. No matter how many times you see this, it's never easy, but when you know the person, it's especially difficult. However, our officers and detectives put their game faces on and investigated the scene as professionals. They helped collect the remains and move them to the pathologist. They processed and collected evidence that was contaminated by biohazards in the confined area. They had to write their reports and about everything that happened, effectively reliving the event through their photographs, notes, and videos. Shortly after the incident, Some of the same employees had to engage public partners to make a video highlighting a festive holiday season in our community. They were asked to act and smile and participate in a skit for social media. These employees were still processing what they had just experienced a few hours prior. They did a great job. These types of events are incredibly important to our mission and our legitimacy in the community. Our community policing team understands this very well. This could be an entirely different and lengthy essay. Late in the afternoon, which again, December 20th on a Friday, we did an informal debrief to determine what went right and what went wrong. We discussed what we could have done or what safety nets may have failed. It was a good discussion with several viewpoints presented. We also discussed what other events may occur in the community that stem from this incident. The recent camping ordinance was a topic of discussion. As we know, it is a sensitive topic in the community, and the death of this man will make emotions raw for some. How the police, government, and community partners respond will be important. By the evening, these same employees were able to locate the brother of the man we had found. We had to explain to him that we could not identify his brother with certainty due to the condition, but the evidence strongly suggested that this was him. This is the worst job that a law enforcement professional will ever have to do, is providing death notifications, as it's physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally taxing. It's exhausting. Now it's 5 or 6 p.m. and it's time to go home to their families and the loved ones, their children, and significant others. Do they simply flip the switch that allows them to smile and act and participate like they did earlier? I hope not. I hope that they do get to decompress and get to take this off their chest with some people they care about and that love them. Some of them don't. Some have school board meetings, basketball games, or other chores. I'm sure some have unhealthy coping mechanisms. After all, who would blame them after a day like that? The next morning, some employees participated in drug search warrants. Some met with community partners to further build relationships. Some had meetings with attorneys. Some had court. But they were all back again. As a note to this death investigation under the bridge was the third death some of these officers had responded to in as many days. They also responded to fights, domestic disturbances, thefts, traffic crashes, medical emergencies, noise complaints, traffic stops, school checks, and other types of minor assist. Not one complaint was received by the department during this time about anyone's conduct or attitude. So I just want to say thank you for the folks that share that. But I also want to take the time to say that although that commentary focuses on our law enforcement, our police department, the events of the past several weeks, I think, illustrate the quality of human beings that we have serving and protecting this wonderful community. The incredible dedication and professionalism displayed by our city team over these past few weeks is a testament to the culture of our community and our organization. It is humbling to read about what our officers and community partners and their resilience and compassion and tireless efforts, especially under such emotionally and physically demanding circumstances. The way the OPD team balanced the complexities of a challenging situation, from responding to a tragic loss with sensitivity to engaging the community in a lasting and meaningful way, and then going above and beyond throughout this storm, even ensuring that groceries were delivered to those in need and that dialysis treatment was also something that they reached out to do. I think this is a testament to the value and deep sense of purpose shared by Ottawa's law enforcement community. Their ability to switch gears and maintain composure and uphold the highest standards of service reflects their commitment to their community, to each other, and to us. Our public works and utilities teams, especially the streets division, demonstrated exceptional commitment and professionalism during the recent winter storm, ensuring the safety and functionality of our community's critical infrastructure. Crews worked tirelessly around the clock to clear roads, maintain essential services, and address emergent issues caused by the severe weather conditions. They communicated and coordinated efforts to minimize disruptions, safeguard public safety, and they did so while upholding the highest standard of service to our residents that we are becoming reliant upon. I know that we all extend our gratitude to these dedicated professionals for their resilience and unwavering dedication in serving our community under such challenging circumstances. And I think I can say that I speak for all of us in extending our gratitude and admiration to everyone involved, and that these professionals not only make a difference in the lives of individuals, but also the trust and connection between their agencies, this organization, and our community. And I want to say thank you to everyone who helped keep us safe. I want to thank you for your service, for giving your time away from your family, and that it is a true reminder of the impact that public servants can have even in the most trying of times. So with that, myself and our team will stand ready to answer any questions that you have.
Do we have any questions?
I only had one. Sorry, it's kind of back at the beginning. I had not heard, is Midwest Cabinet shutting down Ottawa for good, closing?
For good, and I know that Director Bean's here from FCDC if you want to elaborate.
Okay.
Not to put you on the spot,
Yeah.
Paul, sorry.
No, yeah, they reached out to me. It's been a while, but yeah, they're closing for good, and they basically just never recovered from COVID. Their business was to restaurants and those types of things, which were severely hit by COVID, and orders stopped for a long time, and so it was hard for that industry to recover. So we've certainly been in touch with them, working on job placement for employees, but also working on getting that building up for sale as quick as possible. He's contracted with a broker. I've been in touch with the broker. I've communicated with Commerce Department and KCADC, and they have all the information on the facility. We put it on the lowest site, which is their electronic site for locations when somebody's looking for a building. So it's kind of, a door closes, a door opens. I hate to see Midwest Cabinet go away. I think we owe Bob Howell and the leadership there a debt of gratitude for close to 50 years of business in our community. And you think about the taxes they paid and the jobs they provided and the philanthropic support that they gave all that time. We're certainly indebted to Midwest Cabinet and that leadership there, and especially Bob. I never forget, one of the first meetings I had when I took this job was to go out and meet people, and I sat down with Bob and I said, he's from Ohio. I said, how'd you decide to pick Ottawa? He said, well, I'm a Chiefs fan, so I want to get back close to the Chiefs. So hopefully he'll still be a Chiefs fan, but no, seriously, one door closes, one door opens. I've shared with you, we've seen a lot more inquiries in the last year for an existing building. So the good news is, if try to make a positive about everything, is we now have an existing building. And we've been very active in getting that information out to all the parties involved. And like I said, working closely with the broker that he's hired, and hope to get that filled just ASAP.
We used to work side by side with them at Applebee's, doing Applebee's
Yeah,
renovations.
yeah.
And if you've heard anything in the news, I mean, they just shut down 8 in Kansas City. So a lot of those chain restaurants are going to the, are going out of business, and that's costing a lot of contractors employment.
Yeah, it's just a hard time. But so, yeah, unfortunately, they'll be closed officially at the end of this month.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions for our city manager? We will move on to item 13, comments by our governing body. We'll start with Commissioner Kaler.
I want to wish Happy New Year to everyone. I appreciate, even before our city manager had read that letter, the immense gratitude that I have for everyone who works for the city of Ottawa, and honestly for every citizen who loves this community. And I pulled up this quote that said, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. And I don't think we can say thank you enough. I don't think we can show kindness enough, and I don't think we can express our gratitude enough. So thank you to everybody in the city of Ottawa who has kept this city running.
Commissioner Crowley.
I'll continue on with some of that. I want to say thank you to everybody that's been out there the last few days, day and night, working their butts off to clear the roads and keep our power on. I know we say this a lot, and I hope it has meaning behind it, but I've read a lot on social media recently of the good stuff that people are saying about the individuals that are being out there too, and I hope that you all get to see those comments, or at least hear them through the grapevine, that there are a lot of people out there that are certainly appreciative of what you all do day and night for our community. So thank you.
Commissioner Skidmore.
Yep, continue that same venue. I really do appreciate the fact that we'll be able to keep our power on. I know they were talking about the ice and the wind, and that's a terrible combination for tree limbs coming down. So we're certainly glad we kept our power going through the whole storm, in spite of a little hiccup there, but I got it quickly fixed. I'm glad to see our electric department doing a good job and taking care of that. It's been cold out there. I remember my 5-year-old daughter got up one morning, it was really cold. She said she said it's 0 below 0. I'm not sure what that means, but I guess it's pretty cold. But I know our crew's been out working in this cold. I saw them getting some snow out of the street today and making a pretty good sized mountain there on 2nd Street. So we appreciate all the good work they're doing. Also, just to see the other people in our community helping other community members, helping people getting their driveways shoveled. So it's always good to see neighbors helping neighbors. So keep that up, keep that spirit going.
Mayor Pro Tem Clayton.
Yeah, I will follow everyone's sentiments. I don't think we can express enough, the crews who are out. Having done several myself and been out for 2 days, and how sore I am, I can only imagine the crews who've been up for 42 hours, 28 hours, running trucks. We saw, I'm sure a lot of people saw on Facebook the KDOT truck that had a fire. We heard about a death of a driver, the danger they're putting themselves in being out there when we're all at home, and we're upset that our power's out for 10 minutes. While we're trying to watch Netflix, and these guys are out, working in the elements and stuff. And so thank you to them. Thank you to the community who supports them as well. And all of that. And then just another plug. Are we still accepting Christmas trees at 2nd Street limb drop off? Once people have access again, if they still need to drop off? Okay. And other than that, I don't have anything else. This is my first back to school, and now I understand why y'all are so excited to get your kids back to school. I appreciate the school district keeping kids safe the last 2 days and closing, but please take them back.
Fingers crossed for
yes.
tomorrow. Yes. I would also like to echo the sentiments from my fellow commissioners and also our city manager, and thank everyone for all that they have done, especially during this very cold spell and with the ice and snow. And along that thread, I'd also like to say the shelter, as was mentioned before, is always looking for volunteers. So if you're able to give an overnight to the shelter, or they are also usually looking for a warm meal for the residents. You can do either of those. We'll move on to item 14, which are our announcements.
Madam Mayor, before we move on, can I ask for a point of clarification on our announcements? Day at the Capitol for the league is on the 22nd. Will we be having a meeting on the 22nd?
We've sent some inquiries because we have a City Hall Day on the 22nd, and then there's the KMU City Hall Day as well on the 29th. And so we're asking kind of for a head count as far as who's wanting to go to which one, and if everyone's wanting to go to one or the other, is there a quorum issue, or which meeting would we cancel?
So to be safe, I'll announce the two for sure things that we have on here. We have January 15th, our City Commission meeting at 10 a.m. in City Hall. January 16th, the Chamber Annual Awards and Banquet at 5:15 at Ottawa University. And with that, I believe we are looking at having an executive session.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. I'm asking for a short executive session, 10 minutes for attorney-client privilege, to confer with the board's attorney and engage in confidential and privileged communication. I think we can go in now and be done by 5 p.m. here in this room. Board and attorney and city manager present.
Do we have that motion?
I'll make that motion to begin at 5:50, which is in 1 minute, so hurry, people.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All opposed, same sign. We will recess into executive session.